guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to do something a little different and share with you all my journey with gestational diabetes. I am also going to show you how to prick your finger to check your blood sugar level, and I'm going to show you how to use the insulin pen that I was prescribed. I do want to preface that every journey with gestational diabetes is different, so if you have any questions or concerns, definitely talk to your OB. So my journey began at 25 weeks while I was pregnant with my daughter Blythe. I was scheduled to take the 1-hour glucose test, and honestly I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was that I had no friends that had failed, and you had to drink this sugary liquid, and you waited an hour, they drew some blood, and that was that. For most women, I feel like that is what happens, but for me, it wasn't the case. So about a week after I had taken my test, I got a call from my nurse and she told me that I failed. That sucked. So when you fail, you have to then take a 3-hour glucose test. I just didn't want to have to do that. I was kind of hoping that I was gonna pass the 3-hour test or like figure out a way to beat it, so I didn't have to tell people that I had gestational diabetes, but that wasn't the case. So I took my 3-hour test. It was a long day. I would recommend bringing a book or a laptop because you're at the doctor's office for an entire morning or afternoon. And again, about a week later, I got a call from my nurse and she said that I failed and I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. I did not know much about gestational diabetes. Like I said, had no friends who had been diagnosed. None of my family members had ever had gestational diabetes while being pregnant, and I have no family history of diabetes. So I was really shocked, and so was my doctor. I did not fit the typical candidate for gestational diabetes, and because of that, I started to feel a lot of guilt. I thought back to all the things that I had been eating while pregnant or during the first half of my pregnancy, and I craved nothing but sugar. I thought, if I can't take care of my body, how am I going to take care of this baby? I think that these feelings are normal, but gestational diabetes is just something that happens to some pregnant women and not others. Just like some pregnant women get nauseous and others don't. I met back with my doctor who put me on a nutrition plan, and that also sucked, especially for someone who was eating nothing but sugar. And what pregnant woman wants to go on a diet? My doctor also wanted me to regularly check my blood sugar level, and in order to do that, you prick your finger. I was a little nervous about this because I hate needles, and I think this part probably scared me the most. During all the appointments, I not only got to see Blythe, but they were just measuring her to make sure that she wasn't growing too fast or too big. Some of the downsides to gestational diabetes is your baby can grow to be too big to have a vaginal delivery, so you have to have a C-section, and sometimes your baby can develop diabetes. So here I am, 26 weeks pregnant, and I'm pricking my finger on a diet, jotting things down that I eat, reporting all of my blood sugar levels back to my doctor, and I just did not see this as part of my pregnancy journey. As upset and mad as I was about all of it, I just had to keep reminding myself that if this is all I have to do to make sure that I'm healthy during this pregnancy and my baby is healthy during this pregnancy, then I can do this. So that's what I did. I was actually able to successfully manage my gestational diabetes. I got used to the finger pricking. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I was even able to enjoy a little sugary treat every now and then. My doctor was really happy with the way that my numbers were looking, and I was really feeling happy and healthy. Fast forward to week 35, and my body just decided that it was unable to manage the diabetes as well as it was. I just struggled to keep my blood sugar levels where they needed to be. I was worried because of this, so I went back to my doctor and she decided that maybe I should go see a specialist for the remainder of my pregnancy and possibly consider going on insulin and even inducing at 38 weeks. To be at 35 weeks and think that you have over a month left in your pregnancy and then come to find out that you actually have 2 weeks left, I just never pictured being induced during my pregnancy. I also didn't picture gestational diabetes, so it is what it is. So I went to the specialist and sure enough, she suggested that I be put on insulin. And I first started injecting myself in the mornings, but later towards the very end, around 38 weeks, I was injecting morning and night just to help me get through the day. The insulin pen was scary at first. I'm not gonna lie, I made my husband do the first couple injections for me and I broke down in tears before the very first one because I was so scared and I hate needles. But to be completely honest, you don't feel anything. I felt like such a baby. But by the end, I was doing my injections all by myself. So it's really nothing to be worried about. The specialist that I went to was amazing and she was pretty happy with where I was in my pregnancy and decided that I could go as far as 39 weeks for induction. By this time, I was coming to terms with everything. So I was prepared and ready for it. My last visit, right before I went in to be induced, Blythe was measuring right on track and she was born at 6 pounds, 14 ounces, and she was absolutely beautiful and perfect in every possible way. And because I had gestational diabetes, she too had to be checked. They had to prick her little foot 4 times the day after she was born just to make sure that her blood sugar was where it needed to be. And it was, and she was fine. And every single finger prick, every insulin injection was worth it. I'm gonna cry because she's so perfect. The day she was born was the absolute best day of my life. And one day I'll jump back on here and share that story because it was so wonderful. Now I'm going to show you some of the things that I was prescribed after being diagnosed. So this is my monitor right here. This thing in the middle is the gadget that you'll use to prick your finger. I'm not quite sure what this thing is called, so I'll refer to it as the finger pricking gadget. These are test strips. They look like this. Actually, I should put it this way. They look like this. This part goes into the top of the monitor, and then you will put your blood sample on the top here. And these are the lancets. This is the needle. As you can see, they are extra fine. The 33 gauge. There's a 30 gauge, which is fine, and then the 33 gauge, which is extra fine. Really, you barely feel this thing. This is what it looks like when you take it out. And I will now show you how to successfully test your blood sugar. So first what I do is I plug the test strip into the top of the monitor. So, like so. And that will turn the monitor on. And then now it says, apply blood. Sorry for the glare. Apply blood. Then I'll take the finger pricking gadget. This is the part where the lancet goes, and down here it measures how deep you want the needle to go in your finger, and it goes all the way up to 7, which is a little aggressive. I personally was terrified, so I started with 1, but that barely broke the skin. So if you're a little nervous, I suggest somewhere in between 2 and 3. That should get the job done. It's on 3, and you take this top part out. The lancet goes right in there. And then the top part of the lancet, excuse my dog, the top part of the lancet twists off, but you want to save this piece because you'll use it to dispose the little needle. And look, this thing is seriously, I mean, you can't even see it on the camera. It's so tiny, so fine. Then you'll want to carefully place the cap back on and pull this lever back. You'll put this part and place it on your clean hands. You'll want to wash your hands first and pick the finger that you want to use. I suggest using the sides of your fingers and not the tip. I would also recommend switching between the fingers since you'll be doing it so often. So I'm going to choose my middle finger, and you'll press the blue button, and you'll barely feel it, and you'll probably have to squeeze it a little bit. There it is. And you'll apply the blood to the top of the test strip. There we go. And I'm at 109. I believe for gestational diabetes, they want you to be below 120, somewhere in between 100 and 120 an hour after your meal. The way you dispose your needle is you take the cap back off. This part goes on top of the needle. You just push it carefully on top of the needle, and you eject the needle like so. And now you can safely toss your needle. Now for the insulin pen. This is what it looks like, and currently it still has insulin in it from my pregnancy. So I will not actually inject myself during this video, but I will show you what the needles look like and how you would go about injecting the insulin. Here are all the needles. This is what it looks like. There is a little tab that you will take off and remove. And this part, you can see there's like a needle in there. This part goes into the tip of your pen. That little red part, it goes right in there. So you'll stick that in like so, and then it twists on. And from there, you just pop that off. And this is covering the needle. I want to show you at the bottom, this measures how much insulin you put into your body. So you'll measure that. And I do not remember how much I was prescribed, but it was not a very high amount. So you will set that to whatever number you were prescribed, and this part comes off, and there is your scary little needle. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of scares me, but I swear it doesn't hurt at all. You barely feel a thing. The way I did it was there were 4 spots on my torso, my tummy, that I would inject, and I would just alternate between the 4 spots. You basically go to your lower right side, then to your lower left, and then to your upper left, and then your upper right. You wipe off the spot and clean it thoroughly before you inject the insulin, but yeah, that's it. And you'll put the needle wherever you decide you're going to inject, and you'll press down on the tip over here, and that will push the insulin through the needle. You'll want to hold it there for about 3 seconds, and I know that sounds disgusting too, but that's just to make sure that all the insulin gets into your body. And then you'll want to dispose of the needle. You'll put the cap back on, twist it back off, and now you can toss it safely. So that was that. I really hope that this helped someone somewhere, and I also just want to reiterate that it's not scary, especially if you're terrified of needles like I was. You'll get the hang of it, and if this is all you have to do to ensure that you have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby, when you look at it like that, it doesn't seem so bad. Thanks so much for watching. Love you all.